So there is a 70% probability, according to different news outlets, that there is going to be a government shutdown by October 1st. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions here with a super quick market update. I just wanted you to understand what it was that was going on, what they're arguing about, and how this could negatively impact the stock market. I really hope that you learned something new. And again, if you do, all I ask you to do is consider dropping a thumbs up and subscribing if you feel like we earned it. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So at one point, markets were incredibly bullish with higher highs and higher lows, almost making new all-time highs for QQQ. And then now recently pulled on back. Not very surprised by this. And that is because of this looming news that, yes, once again, another year goes by and both sides of the aisle cannot come to an agreement. And they're leveraging this government shutdown over each other's necks to try to force one another to vote for something that is in their best interest. You know what I would love to see is that if this government shutdown were to happen, that the first 535 jobs that were lost were all of those politicians. You guys let me know down in the comment section what you think. I can reassure you that we would never have another government shutdown again if that were the implications. But of course, we never hold them accountable, so why pretend? So why is the government shutting down? A government shutdown now appears to be very likely. Again, if you look this up according to different probability tools, there's about a 70% probability that the government can shut down. And as analysts highlight a deadlock over the federal budget, with both major parties refusing to compromise before October 1st deadline. That is in about 48 hours from now, a little bit beyond 48 hours. So in just a few days. If lawmakers can't agree on a new stopgap spending bill, federal operations will halt, potentially for more than a week, according to Wolf Research. So if the government were to shut down, this would mean that, again, a series of federal workers that are non-emergency would be furloughed. And as of right now, to my understanding, to apply more pressure, I'm not here to say that I agree or disagree with it. I'm just saying it's the news that we're hearing, is that Trump is now saying that not only could these federal employees be furloughed, but Trump is even threatening to remove some of those jobs. So again, to apply more pressure. So standoffs at the top. Here is where the tension spikes. Republicans and Democrats are holding firm. Democrats insist that President Trump's and the GOP support of extending Obama-era healthcare subsidies, which are set to expire at the end of 2025. Meanwhile, Republicans need Democrats to vote in the divided Senate to pass any funding bill. So this is the pickle that we are in right now. From my understanding, this is the extension of the Obama-era healthcare subsidies is not set to expire until the end of the year. The Republicans are saying, hey, why are you holding this over our necks right now? That's a December issue. That's not an issue right now, but maybe the Democrats are just getting ahead of it, right? Maybe they want to apply that pressure to see, because again, the Republicans need to be able to pass a funding bill by October 1st. So it's just leverage, right? One group is holding it over the necks of the other, but this is something that is, again, going to be a little bit more urgent at the end of the year. So based off of that understanding already, I wouldn't be very surprised that there is some form of compromise given since there is more time to be able to still vote on this bill. My understanding of this is that the Obama-era healthcare, supposedly hundreds of thousands of Americans can be losing the chance of affordable healthcare. At least that's what people are saying, right? Democrats do not claim that former President Trump and Republican Party support extending the Enhanced Affordable Care Act, the ACA subsidies. Rather, Democrats are pressuring Republicans to approve an extension of the subsidies that are set to expire at the end of 2025. Most congressional Republicans, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, have opposed tying a subsidy extension to government funding bills. So the whole idea behind that is, again, they're trying to apply more pressure now. This is something that should be technically according to their own schedule and what they like to do more at the end of the year, right? More towards December. Pressure tactics. Democrats are using the September 30th government funding deadline to pressure Republicans into extending the subsidies. Premium increases. This is the big if, right? If the subsidies expire, millions of Americans could see their healthcare premiums rise significantly, with some projections estimating an average premium increase of over 75%. So you could see how this could be a huge tactic, right? For those that are always looking for affordable healthcare. I mean, who doesn't want affordable healthcare to some degree, right? Sure. But they're saying, hey, they don't want to pass this bill. They want your healthcare. And for millions of Americans, all the healthcare prices are going to go up. But the idea is if that you understand how systemically this is supposed to be working, normally they vote on that extension at the end of the year, right? On December, because that is when it's set to expire. They don't want to use the leverage that they have now to vote on that bill. Because again, all they're trying to do is pass a funding bill. So I can see that it's strategic in the side of the Democrats because they're trying to get ahead. So maybe they can renegotiate and apply more pressure at the end of the year for other things. But Republicans don't seem to be budging. And it seems like Trump is applying even more pressure, which again is strategic and smart on his part of, hey, if you lead to this government shutdown, sure, right? We'll have to furlough these employees. But on top of that, we might actually remove hundreds of thousands of these jobs from federal employees if you do not pass it. Again, it's just, this happens almost every single year. The risk of a government shutdown and the implications that it has to the market is just the uncertainty. Normally what happens is when we continue to inch closer to a government shutdown, markets do tend to de-risk. They begin to retrace, they begin to sell off, but at any sign of a solution, then they end up making new highs. And it's not like anything changed, it's just the extension happened, right? They refunded the government and or they came to a compromise where they satisfy each other for another 30 days. It's unfortunate. And again, I wish there were more implications that were put on these politicians so we wouldn't be put in these positions like this. But of course, it's always people like you and I that are kind of like pointed against one another based off of our beliefs. I want to remind you, again, at the end of the day, you and I are not the people that decide on what it is that they end up doing. It's really important to understand kind of like the back end of all of this. It's the Democrats are trying to extend a bill that could help out hundreds of thousands of Americans with healthcare. Sure, but that doesn't expire until the end of the year. Republicans don't want to use or have any form of that type of negotiation this early on. It's a funding bill. Let's just move on, right? And we can talk about that later in December. Agreed to disagree. It doesn't really matter what people like you and I think. It's just if the government does shut down, it's normally a negative implication to the stock market. If they do end up passing, then yeah, markets can push to new all-time highs, not because anything new happened, but because, again, the government didn't shut down. Markets are irrational and they will celebrate anything that isn't bad news. So again, excited to follow up. With that being said, there's also a handful of reports this week that have to do with the labor market. Remember, the labor market is very important right now to the Federal Reserve because it's showing signs of a slowdown. If the labor market does not show to be as weak as was once thought, then it could support the case of less rate cuts. If you want markets to rally, you want labor market reports to come in weak. If you want markets to drop, you want labor market reports to come out strong. Because again, it's in response to what the Federal Reserve is more likely to do, right? With their dual mandate of price stability, inflation, right? And also a strong labor market. So very excited to follow up. Again, we'll talk about this a little bit more in tomorrow's live trading session. We had an amazing live trading session today with the LPP team. If you're not yet part of our team, you can still rewatch today's live session and also watch me trade live starting tomorrow. Again, it's the second link in the description down below. And it was just a great way to start the trading week. We ended the week last week absolutely amazing. And the momentum that we picked up this week is also very exciting as well. So we're being patient, we're being calculated, we're being mindful of our position size. And especially if you're a complete beginner, I really do believe that the conversations that we have within these live trading sessions are something that can hopefully guide you in the right direction. If you want to learn more about it, second link in the description down below. And if so, again, tomorrow we'll see you for our live trading session. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.